Colette, thank you for joining me on the podcast.
It's my pleasure.
Very excited about this. We're in our swanky studio in Fulham, which we've both been blown away with, haven't we?
Very swanky. You are. You've been prepped. You're ready, primed, looking great.
You're not supposed to give away a bit about the makeup. I thought that was our secret. Natural beauty. It's a skincare. Yeah, I've been on INKEY List now for about a month, and look at the difference. Right, come on, let's talk about you, not me. We always have a traditional question that we ask on the podcast, which allows people to get a bit of context about you and the brand as well. So you are sitting here as co-founder of INKEY List, which we're going to find out lots about. But obviously, that's not where you weren't born that. So if you could give me a bit of background and give our listeners a bit of insight of how you've ended up here in this lofty position with this incredible brand behind your name, that would be wonderful.
Of course, yeah. So I'm from very humble beginnings, from Leicestershire, the middle of England. My life, my dad was a factory worker, still is today. My mum was a receptionist at a local council. I lived a very small village life. A holiday to Spain was like absolute dream once a year. So very humble beginnings. But I think I always was an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what that was. I didn't have the means to know what that was. I didn't have anyone in my network, or I didn't have a network to know what an entrepreneur was. But I was selling things in the school playground to make money. And throughout my life, I have hustled and hustled and hustled. So I think it was always in me. Do not know where it came from. To this day, my parents are always like, where are you from? You're nothing like any of us. And they still can't believe the journey that we've been on. I feel very fortunate, though, to be able to hire lots of my family to be in the business, which has just been phenomenal. But yeah, really small upbringing. And I was very into theatre and performing arts and dance and singing. And in my teenage years, that was something that I absolutely loved. And I never knew where that would get me to.
Did you think that's what you were going to potentially do as a career?
Yeah, I really thought. I was quite academic though at school. So it wasn't, I did dance because I was academic. Yeah. I was always a goody two-shoes at school. I really liked to, succeed. I wasn't incredibly clever. Mm-hmm. When I see my co-founder now, scientist, accountant, like the guy's phenomenal. But I was sort of nearing top of the class in my local junior school, which nothing special. But I think I always liked to perform, and even age 3, I was always performing to my family. I started dance very, very early, and I never knew where performing would get me. And it turns out, as a co-founder, that literally is your main job, to perform and get the love of your customers. So they're very, very humble upbringing. I had 3 jobs as a teenager. I couldn't afford to go to university, so I found a way, and I literally paid my way through university myself. I was the first person in my family to ever go to university, and that started to open my eyes. The power that education can have, and how it can start to unlock doors. And I think if you are curious and hardworking, you can get anywhere from, no matter where you're bringing it.
Because it's interesting, like you say, the word entrepreneur, you can look at it in many ways.
Yes, 100%.
But it's what you obviously have got from your parents is a work ethic, which I don't think you can ever start your own business without that as being the core foundation.
I think that's the main thing. I think ultimately, ideas are great, but execution is everything. And Mark and I say it's not necessarily PC, but you have to be a psycho. You have to literally go and go and go and go. I worked all weekend this weekend because there is some big stuff I need to land, and there's only so many hours in the day. And did I want to be, or did I want to be drinking wine? Now, I was drinking wine whilst working.
Sometimes helps the creative process, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But ultimately, like, if something needs doing, I am going to do it. And that is, I'm 8 years in, 90 hours a week.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point to share, that people assume, 8 years, you read the headlines of the size of the INKEY brand now, and you think, it's all done. And it's like, it's not, is it? It's just a different set of challenges that are constantly faced.
I think it gets harder.
Yeah.
Definitely. I thought the start bit, the getting going, the getting the investment, the getting the retailers, getting your footing in the industry, I thought that would be the hard bit. Turns out that was the fun bit.
Yeah.
Maintaining and growing at scale, that's the hard bit.
Oh, brilliant. So you obviously went to uni.
Yes.
And what did you study then, out of interest? Was that related to either your previous drama life or this future?
In my mind, so back to the performing, I sang, but I sang for a living. It was an easy way to make bigger money than working in a shop or a restaurant, which I also did. But I fancied journalism as well. I've always liked writing. I was always really good at English, and I thought journalism could be an interesting space for me. And I did media and communication at school, and then I won a work experience at a local radio station, and that kind of, and I, again, hustle culture. I did a week-long work experience and just shadowed everybody and convinced them that I could stay on for free. And I stayed there for about 5 years in total.
No way.
Yeah. And then actually that opened the door to singing, because, you know, you go to like a local radio station and they have like the fireworks nights in your local village or whatever. And they had one of the acts pull out last minute. And I said, oh, well, I'll sing.
I can do that.
And then that opened my kind of door to singing. So honestly, my journey has been all different things, but I decided to do media and communication at university because I loved the journalism side of it. What I took from my degree, and I'm not sure I believe that everybody should go to university, by the way. I think a lot of the time it's great social skills. It's great to learn who you are as a human. I'm not necessarily sure that it sets you up for the career future, unless it's a doctor.
As I've already told you there, I only went for rugby.
Exactly, and that's okay. But I think our definition of what university is and was, I think, it's not necessarily right. But what I took from that course was the kind of openings of. I did this module called Brain and Behaviour, and it was all about the psychology of people and the psychology of consumers. Oh.
That was it. The lights went on.
The lights went on, and I didn't know what it meant at the time, but I remember thinking, this is interesting. How you can sell to someone, how you can understand their psyche. That was it.
Well, should we maybe tell people what you're selling? Because we haven't got that far yet.
I mean...
So you left uni and went to Boots, didn't you?
I did, and I went
Which was your grounding. Oh, really?
Honestly. And stupid me, I left uni, lived in Leicestershire, and went, right, where do I get a job? I want to be a journalist. Oh, I have to be in London. I can't afford to go to London. Now what? So I looked for a job in marketing.
Yeah.
Turns out most marketing jobs of sales and marketing are effectively sales call centres. But there was a local company near to me in Nottingham called Boots. So I applied for a job at Boots. Didn't know they did a grad scheme. Just applied for a basic entry-level job.
Get your foot in the door sort of thing.
I literally got my foot in the door. I earned £13,000 a year, which I was very impressed by at the time. Now I'm like, probably wouldn't even buy lunch every day.
Yeah, I say, yeah.
And I started making tea, and I worked on Boots.com on their toy section. They used to have a toy section. And then after 6 months, I was thinking, is this my life? Like, corporate is not for me. This is not where I want to be. I'm used to performing, energy. I worked in a radio station. Like, I loved that entertainment performance lifestyle, and I am sat in a corporate job loading manually toys onto a website.
With no, it's interesting what you said, no interaction with the customer or with insight or anything. It's just like, just put those latest lines up.
But then interesting, because you were saying about your background, how you found product development. And Boots D90, their head office, is an amazing, huge building, and it's all open plan. And I could see these people sort of playing with products and doing something, and I was thinking, what's going on over there?
That looks interesting.
Yeah. And I got chatting to the team, and they were making Christmas gifts for Boots. I was like, that's super fascinating, because you're developing concepts with the consumer in mind, making that happen, and delivering it to consumers. I was like, that's interesting. And then, so it began. So I spent...
it's a bit like the radio station. You hung around their desk.
I hung around long enough, found an opportunity, and went for it. Basically, exactly that. That's maybe my superpower.
That's a headline of your book, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I hung around.
Hung around long enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I then spent 10 years just working my way through Boots, understanding every single department, from buying to product development to merchandising to VM to new brand development, you name it. I went everywhere, and I understood end to end a consumer from an idea and insight right through to how you deliver it onto a shelf.
Got you. Because that's interesting, because when we come on to INKEY, that's one of what you talk about, your superpowers, when we'll come on to that, is that Not insight for a group of customers, but for a psyche of a customer, if that makes sense. So it's not like saying they shop at Waitrose and they drive a Volvo.
I can't stand that.
Yeah.
The old school demo.
Yeah.
Brenda.
Brenda, picture of Brenda on the wall here.
Picture of Brenda. She's from Sheffield and she's 45 and this is what she does. Come on. Like
Yeah.
my mom is incredible. She's 66. She was sending me fashion trends yesterday. Like, it's not as simple as, you know, those old school demographics. It's about understanding their motivations and where they are and how you feed into that.
Yeah. So you went through Boots.
Yes.
Come on, we're going to have to get onto your product. We're here to talk about this amazing brand that you've built.
Yes. So I was at Boots and my last role at Boots was in the new brand team, which was Boots for finding young brands and bringing them in and acquiring them into their stable, which was amazing because I then learned what entrepreneurs.
So is that like incubator service? Is sort of the,
Yeah. And they were getting young brands, bringing them into Boots. Yeah, exactly, an incubator style. And I met entrepreneurs for the first time and I was absolutely blown away. Bearing in mind, I'd been 10 years in corporate. I'd learned the corporate way. And then you had these entrepreneurs doing the exact opposite. They were going by gut.
Yeah.
They were passionate. They were wild. They didn't fit into a mold. And I was just completely intoxicated by this group of people. And they all had very similar traits. And they were all captivating when you spoke to them. It was just amazing. So then I sort of piqued my interest over there. I went, this
just stood by their desk now, yeah.
This was hang around long enough.
Hiya.
I say yes. It's exactly what happened. So I was working on a brand that we were incubating into Boots. Was completely inspired by one of the founders and then actually left Boots to go and work for her company. So did that for a year, startup, wild, wild ride, slept on our sofa, wild. And then got to a point where I was like, I don't really know what I want to do next. And I did that thing where you go on LinkedIn and set yourself up as a consultant.
Nice.
You know, classic. And I set myself up as a consultant. And as I was sort of writing, you know, these are the services I offer. It was a bit of I don't know what to do with my life, but I know how to do marketing. So I'm just going to.
I suppose it's important to say is when the Boots, and like you say, although be it corporate, is a very good grounding, a very good education, isn't it? They're renowned in the industry for their training and development of people. Which
look at the many of the brands that you know.
Yeah.
They've come from Boots Talent. So yeah, it's an amazing place, and I'm forever grateful from end to end. Even to stocking my brand now. But yeah, I think I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I had the skill set and the grounding to be able to go and help other people. That exact moment that I went onto LinkedIn and updated my profile, I got a ping from a guy called Mark Curry, who I knew of at Boots. He was a very cocky guy that kind of walked around with a coffee in his hand and, you know, quite suave. He was a little bit more senior than I was. And he messaged me saying, hey, Colette, you were on the talent program at Boots. What are you up to now? I'm thinking of starting something and I want to find some great people. It's like, well, look at that.
is that how it works? Yeah.
Client, tick. Met him for a coffee the next day. I fell in love with him that day. His mind, his brain, entrepreneur. If you could picture a crazy entrepreneur, it's Mark.
Because it's interesting, because like you say, his background is scientific and
He's a microbiologist, virologist. Super.
not normally the basics for an entrepreneur, is it? In terms
Honestly,
of
he's very unique in that he is incredibly brainy, incredibly commercial, really understands accounting, finance, what sells. And at the same time is this sort of bonkers, crazy entrepreneur risk taker. And it was everything. Like I was
quite intoxicating mix, isn't it? That
completely. I was intoxicated by Mark from the first day I met. He walked in late. His stuff was everywhere. He had holes in his top. You know, he was just the classic
living a stereotype. Yeah,
mess. He was just a mess. But he kind of sat down, and you know, as we're sat here, he sat down next to me. And like shuffled up to me, got his dirty laptop out, and was like, I've got this idea and I'm thinking of this and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I need to get you and make you into something. And I just knew that was going to be the role that I would play.
You realise your skills, how they worked with him. Yeah.
You can't communicate.
Right.
Like if you were here having a chat with him, you'd sort of leave going,
sure, that's him, yeah.
Right. Because his brain's working 50 miles an hour. So right from day one, I was like, I'm going to be your translator.
Nice.
take that crazy brain of yours that weirdly I seem to be able to understand and bring it to a consumer in a way that they understand. So the two of us, in terms of our roles from day one, just worked.
Amazing.
And then we started a brand.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about that?
Yeah, because I do.
It was a long journey to get there, wasn't it?
It doesn't matter, because I think this is interesting to, again, people assume in this world that's polished and beautifully presented all the time, that everybody thinks, so you started that brand and everything's success. It's not. You had a brand that you started that didn't quite work as well, didn't you?
Oh, we had a nightmare. So we started a business, not a brand.
Right.
So we started a multi-branded business model. And the reason Mark wanted to do this was because most things fail. Right product, wrong time. Right time, wrong idea. Right idea, wrong execution. You name it. There's a million reasons why a brand shouldn't work. And so we spent the first year testing and learning in different categories. We had a matrix of category opportunities and channels. So we did a lip brand on Amazon. We did a bath and body brand in lifestyle retail. And we worked out gaps in the market and fit it.
And then created a product for that,
And created multiple brands with different demos. And just our whole point was MVP. What can you do for the minimum resource, effort, energy, and cost, and just test?
Yeah, but test it in the real world out there, trying to sell it.
Don't get me started on research. You know, these sort of stupid panels of I would buy this and I like that red, not that red. All right, spend your money on it.
Yeah.
So we did sort of real world testing for a year on a number of brands, and managed to pick up accidentally an incredible investor along the way, which again was not planned. So we had a first brand that in theory made sense. It was a body bath salt brand.
Okay.
Really great insight. We could really feel that it was right for the consumer, and we got picked up by loads of retailers, but realized use education wasn't enough. So it was a nice product that people would buy once or buy for a gift, et cetera, et cetera. So every brand that we did, we sort of learned a little bit, okay, so you need to think about use education, that replen. You need to understand what the right price point is for a specific channel that you're going after. And I think we learned loads. We failed multiple times, nearly went bankrupt multiple times.
But a lesson was learned every time.
Every time. Yeah. And then when we launched the INKEY List, we just got it. It wasn't an idea and a theory. It was truly, okay, so we know we effed up there. And that's because of that. And actually, we bought too much of that. You know, we need to carve it. And how could you tweak that? And it was just this sort of live testing for a year. It sounds really romantic. No, it was bloody awful. Yeah. It was chaotic. We had no idea what we were doing. We had retailers all over the place. It was just chaos. But it was brilliant. And it was an amazing learning. And I remember getting a PR agency, who is my PR agency to this day. Really good friend of mine now. We'll get onto relationships later.
Yeah.
But I said to her, I hate PR. I think it's a load of tosh. And I don't believe in retainers because I think it makes people lazy. But if you can get me 3 things, for life of me, I can't remember the third, but I remember 2. One was get me in the Daily Mail, because that would give me a sellout on a product. She did that immediately. And I said, get me a profile piece. I want something about Mark and I want something about us beyond the brand that we had, because we knew we were doing lots of brands. Yeah. I wanted our business.
So nearly protect yourself in case this one didn't work again. You were slight scar tissue on that one. Yeah.
So she got an incredible full-page article in The Guardian.
Oh, nice. And it was quite nice. We got the Mail here and The Guardian there. I mean, it's very balanced. Very balanced.
Absolutely. And she got this amazing profile piece that was talking about Mark and I as the new beauty guard and how we were kind of ripping the rule book up of beauty. And Unilever Ventures saw it. Yeah. And then contacted us. We went in for one meeting with them. And it was literally a Dragon's Den moment where the 2 kind of heads of the fund sat there after an hour, looked at each other, looked back at us and said, we want to invest in this. We hadn't asked for investment.
Doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work like that. And they said, the funniest thing was, they said, we hate all your brands. We hate everything that you're doing now, but you 2 have got something and we want to be on this journey.
Wow.
That's bonkers.
You came out and went, what just happened? Yeah.
Literally. Thank goodness. I mean, again, like, hang around long enough. Get yourself in the right places, and who knows.
And so had you pitched the INKEY List there to them? No, you pitched the wider portfolio of products.
The INKEY List wasn't even a speck of a thought in our heads yet.
So go on then, tell us about INKEY List. Tell us, come on, because this is the exciting bit.
I've built this up, haven't I?
Yeah, well, it is worth building up.
So the INKEY List is a skincare brand, and we built it off the premise of making skincare simple to understand and easy to use. We were incredibly frustrated in the beauty industry, the lack of transparency and the magic potions that were being sold to consumers. And it was a funny time in 2018 because consumers were starting to rebel. And the way that they were rebelling was they were turning to platforms like Reddit and Facebook communities, and they were turning to each other and they were showing photos of a product saying, hey, does anybody know what's in this product? Hey, does anybody know how you would use this? Hey, can anyone help me with this mark on my skin? I don't know what it is. So Mark and I were like, there's something here. There's no brand out there that is truly helping people. They're just peddling products with really beautiful marketing. So we started with a really fundamentally clear why and why we would start this brand. And it was to spread the beauty of knowledge to the world. It wasn't, I'm going to launch a hyaluronic acid and I'm going to launch XXX Active. It was actually, if you can give somebody the right information and knowledge, they will empower themselves to make the right decisions. So we started with that really clear why, and then everything came from there.
So you always had that base, didn't you? That sort of,
even now.
You knew that should you have that product in your range? No, because it doesn't meet that criteria, that proposition.
It's the fundamental principle of anything I do. So it's not even just about product. It's about anything that we do marketing-wise. Any service that I offer has to ladder back up to, am I giving somebody extra knowledge to help them? And that means you can launch anything then.
Yes.
Because it's not linked to a specific active or a product. Do you know what an INKEY List is?
I do, because I've read it, but please explain.
So
unless you're trying to quiz me. Check I've done my research. Well, it's to do with the ingredients list, isn't it, of a product?
So it's the International Nomenclature for Cosmetic Information, INCI. Now, the INCI list, the INKEY List, is on every single product that you own. Food, well-being, health, beauty. And it's brilliant because it's giving ultimate transparency on what is in your product. However, if you're not a cosmetic chemist, which not a lot of us are, that list is completely confusing.
Yeah.
So it gives you transparency, but the standardization of it means that you're not going to understand what that is. So we take that INCI list and try to simplify it and tell you exactly what's in your product in layman's terms. So we called ourselves the INKEY List to make skincare simple to understand and easy to use.
So that's so the bit you talked about when you were seeing people on Reddit and Facebook groups, in a sort of slightly scary way that some random person just giving somebody skincare advice, which is terrifying in itself. But that was a sort of single nugget that you took and go, right, that's the kernel of this idea. Then how do we make sure we can control that in a safe way?
Absolutely.
That
how do you truly help and be? We've always tried to be a mix of an authority that you can trust, but also a human that you want to hear from. We're not a brand that is, a big something that doesn't really exist, but at the same time, we're not your maid down the pub that might get the information wrong. Yeah. So how do you bridge that gap between being someone that can truly help you and you can trust that, but then at the same time, like, oh, it's INKEY, so I trust them and I know the people. You don't
want to intimidate people either, that they feel, oh, I didn't ask.
We want to genuinely be for everyone, and there's so many buzzwords: transparency, accessibility, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, is actually what we want to be. And I want the brand to be for everyone. Like, it makes me so excited when I see, like, a teenager struggling with her skin that's starting with a salicylic acid cleanser for the first time. There's a guy in our community, we're co-developing products with our community at the minute, which I can talk about a bit later. But he's 65. He's from Texas, and he's just started skincare for the first time in his life. And do you know what? Why he's come to INKEY? Because he feels accepted.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that phenomenal?
That's incredible.
I truly love that people do.
Especially from Texas.
I just love that I am a space where people, like, can come and feel accepted and that we're not going to judge them. And people always say, oh, I've got a stupid question. There is no such thing as a stupid question. And I want people to feel that they can come to us with anything big or small, and we truly are here to help you with your skin.
I love it. So you had this idea then for the product. How did you get it on the shelves on the website? What's that journey? Without getting into obviously massive detail, but because people have got ideas, I think lots of people go, and then what do you do next?
You need money.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, whether it's your money or someone else's money, we didn't have any money. We literally started, when we started the business, I'll never forget, Mark had £10 left in his bank account. Was just about to go and get a job with Coty because we couldn't
carry on. Yeah.
We had £10 and we decided to go and get 2 G&Ts as our last hurrah. And then we got
got 10 quid, you might as well spend it on booze, haven't you? Yeah.
Exactly. And then we got the call that we'd got the investment. So no, we were close to this never happening.
So was it just before midnight type thing?
Literally. Yeah, literally. Sorry, where was I going with that?
So you need some money if you're going to start this thing.
So you need to start with money, number one. And what I've learned over the years is it's not just money, it's cash flow.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And don't believe a retailer PO. Because if a retailer tells you they're buying stock, until that money is in your bank account, that does not exist.
That's not real, is it? No.
No, and some, big retailers are on 90-day payment terms.
Yeah.
So you have to buy the stock, produce it, and then wait another 90 days to get paid. So
once you've delivered it, yeah.
Cash flow is not fun. But anyway, in terms of making a product, you've got to decide how you want to do it. We can't have our own kind of factories, etc. We are never going to be people that, oh my gosh, barely a team, never mind a factory.
Yeah.
But what we do is work with a contract manufacturer. We develop all the products with them. We own the IP.
Lesson number 3, I think, actually. 4.
I'll give all the lessons.
Yeah.
Own the IP. And then you would develop that. At the same time, you've got to work out your channels. You've got to work out whether you're going to be DTC, hard, retail, even harder. There's pros and cons to both. There's TikTok Shop now, there's Amazon. The world is a whole plethora of horrendousness in terms of different P&Ls. Where's going to make you the profit? Where's going to give you awareness?
And balancing that. Where do you put your time across all of different
Exactly. I think I could do master classes on what not to do.
Is this where you felt your skills came in, like you're saying, about how do I translate what we're doing? Mark's got this brain that's worked these out with you, and then suddenly you're the one that can translate that message.
I think Mark is the magic, and I don't tell him that.
Hopefully he won't listen.
Probably won't. I'm the translator, so I can make it truly understandable and exciting to the consumer. And then we have a retail background, so we totally understand how to sell to a retailer, how to live in a retail environment. We didn't have a DTC when we launched for 2 years. We only set up our DTC when COVID hit.
No way.
It wasn't.
It was 2018 you launched, wasn't it? Yeah, just to give people a reference,
So 2020 hit, and we were like,
so where was it? Where could people buy it at first then when it was first launched?
So we launched on a couple of websites. There was a website called Feel Unique. I don't know if you remember, it's been bought by Sephora now.
Yeah.
And then within 3 weeks we were on Cult Beauty. And then we got the knock on the door from Sephora, global retailer.
This is what happens. This is how easy it is to start a business. Everybody out there.
Now, bearing in mind, we'd spend a year literally knocking on people's doors. Please take
with the concept of it and the idea. With products.
Brands.
Oh, with the other brands. Sorry,
Knocking on the door. Please take 10 units of this. Just try it out. Test it. We hit. The why was so right in terms of getting that brand that was simple to understand and easy to use. The retailers just went after it. They knew there was a white space for this brand.
Yeah.
And just literally clambered over themselves to get it.
Wow.
It was wild, actually.
Yeah.
And within 6 months, we had launched into North America with Sephora in stores. I'd never even been to the US.
No. So maybe explain a bit about Sephora, because if people aren't in your industry, they won't have heard of this incredible brand.
Sephora is like the #1 beauty retailer in the world.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Boots, but it's only beauty. There's no pharmacy, and it's quite high end. We are by far the cheapest brand in Sephora. So it's a very beautiful. It's more interesting than a department store.
Yeah.
It's a fun beauty environment, loud, colourful, playful. It's a beauty playground, if you will.
But most brands would dream of the pinnacle of getting there. That was your What was it, 8 months in or 6 months in or something?
6 months.
6 months in.
6 months
and you're
in.
already chatting to the boss.
We were in the store in 6 months. And then in 18 months, we were in 32 countries with Sephora.
As I say, that's how easy it is to launch a global brand.
Not even one part of it was easy.
Yeah.
But it sounds
How did
like
you
a story.
scale up manufacturing and production for that?
When Sephora came to us, we had to instantly go and get shed loads of money. But it helped that we did have the contract from Sephora.
Yeah, that bit of paper, I'm sure, opened a few.
Help. But we very, very quickly, we're very lucky that we've got two main contract manufacturers, and they were able to scale with them. They both took a chance on us when we were very small.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a manufacturer to take a chance on you when you're talking 5,000 units.
Yeah.
But actually, they took a chance on us, and it just paid back, and we scaled with them very quickly. Yeah. And we were with manufacturers that were big enough that they could instantly scale. It was more on our end of like warehousing, distribution, like physically getting the stock to the retail, like setting up our products, creating a field team, setting up, on your like website pages, your product sets on a page. If you're going to launch with a retailer, you have to have like 200 reviews for day one. There's so much
behind that people don't realise.
Yeah, that there was 15 of us in the company or something stupid.
Wow. But obviously those manufacturers are pretty integral, aren't they, to the success, because if they hadn't seen something in you and backed you, it's fascinating, isn't it?
I would say the one I'm going to ask, can I talk superpower?
Yeah. You do whatever you want.
All right. I'm just taking over your job here.
It's fine. I'll just sit back and listen. That's what I should be doing anyway, to be honest. I should be talking.
My superpower and Mark's superpower is we can genuinely sell ice to an Eskimo.
Right.
We honestly can help, like we can bring people in, and we're so passionate that people feel that, and they've wanted us to
suddenly get lifted and pulled along with it.
Yeah, and being genuine and building genuine relationships will take you so far.
Mm.
And I would say we are there. We're as far as we've got to as quickly as we have. Like we sold 90 million products. 90 million. But a lot of that is absolute luck.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just being in the right place at the right time, but getting yourself in the right place at the right time by using your connections and convincing people to take a chance on you and come on the journey.
You've talked a lot in the past, and sorry, it's related to that, because I think that's fascinating, though, that you pride yourself on being you.
Yes.
You're not an act to get that sale over. Like, yes, obviously we all perform a little bit with what we do, but essentially your own personal beliefs system is what has driven, and that's what actually people have connected to, so that as you grow, you don't change. And so, who's this lady that said this and now's that? I
don't know why anyone would try and be anything else, because the bigger you get and the more people you have to deal with, if it is fake, it's
a lot do, though. Unfortunately, I agree with you, because it's hard work being yourself anyway. Never mind trying to be somebody else.
I know, but I do pride myself on the way I'm talking to you now. Will be the way I would talk to my investor. Would be the way I talk to a retailer. The way I talk to my mum.
Yeah,
and I think people feel that, and the passion that Mark and I have got for this brand is genuine, and that feeling that we have inside us, I don't think you can fake that.
No.
Honestly.
No. I think you can for like about a week, and then suddenly it all comes down.
And I think building a culture in a team as well, they've got to believe in you. Like, we're asking them to do all sorts of stuff and work all sorts of hours, and they've got to believe in like a bigger thing other than, the work that they're doing. It's like, do I believe in these people and what they're trying to do here?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the premise of our brand in terms of that knowledge comes from a real place. We're both from really humble beginnings. And Mark, within his journey, was a science teacher for a while. And like, we both feel so incredibly passionate about education. And knowledge and what it can unlock.
Which is one of the cornerstones of the brand.
Yeah, so it's not like I've sort of faked, oh, that's cool, let's do a brand about education. No, I fundamentally believe in education.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff we do, we're super passionate about, I hate the word like charity, but we're working with 250,000 young change makers that are like the youth of the future that are going to change the world. And we're trying to support that, to educate them, to help them get there. Like,
Yeah.
exciting.
It is, isn't it? Have you always had that belief that you can be you? Because a lot of people talk about this, that, you know, at first they don't think they can be the real person. They've got to be an act. They've got to be the CMO or the CEO or the founder. Like they believe there's a persona they have to put on. But you've just talked very naturally to say, look, I'm talking to my mum the same as I'm talking to the investor, etc., which is wonderful to hear. But I think some people are scared about sometimes showing their real soft underbelly, if that makes sense.
I think I've always had imposter syndrome, honestly.
Right.
So I've always,
because that kind of counters from what you just said, doesn't it?
Because I've kind of always thought that I'm not good enough. I always have a genuine, like, even being here today, I'm like, why would you speak to me? I'm seeing.
We both feel like it's such a swanky setup, isn't it? Let's be honest.
But, you know, all the people that you've spoken to, I'm like looking down the list going, so, and I didn't ask you, but when I got here, I wanted to say, why are you interested in me? And that's where the place I come from. But at the same time, we're all just humans trying to do their own shit, you know?
Yeah.
So if you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. If I'm interesting, amazing. If not.
There's the next one. Skip the next one.
But also, the busier you get, the less I give a shit.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got time
to
worry about what people think. And I think just be yourself. I don't know. Is that a maturity thing? Maybe.
I think it is. I think it's when you realised you've got experience now, you've done stuff before, but then, you know, 10 years at Boots, 2 or 3 years in between, and then INKEY List for 8 years.
Well, I don't know the answers.
No, exactly.
And I make mistakes every single day, but I like being able to put my hands up.
Yeah.
It's actually quite freeing. If you can be like, I'm really bad at this, FYI. Like, don't get me, like, our FDs like, can talk you through, and I'm like, just don't, because I don't.
Literally waste an hour of your life.
You're wasting your time. Get the right people in to do that. And however, like, you want to talk about naming conventions, or you want to talk about what, you come right here, and I know that in my gut, I know what's right.
Yeah. I think that comes, I do think that, because I've been, like I've said to you earlier, I'm lucky enough to speak to about 80, 90 people now on this situation. And when you first start any business, you do everything because you can't afford anybody. So you have to work out, you become a part-time FD, you become a part-time CMO, all those sort of things. All those things, that's great. And I think that inflection point where you're allowed to then go, no, that guy's really good at adding up, so I'm going to get him to do it. And that lady's fantastic at that. And I do think that comes once but it's great that you've been on the tools and tried it, because then you know, great, I'm crap at that, so let's go.
100%. And even what I did at Boots, really, like I tried everything.
Yeah.
I found out what I was bad at, and the same at INKEY. Like, I have been in every part of our company. It's hilarious. At one point, somebody went on maternity leave, and I was like managing the DTC team. And my first thing was like, so what's CAC?
Oh, we love a bit of CAC, don't we?
But like, the team are looking at me, and I was like, I don't know, but I fundamentally know I'll ask the right questions to get us to the right answer. Do I know the intricacies of every bit of my business? No, I don't. But I know fundamentally where we're going, and I'll ask you the right questions to make the right decisions.
But that's what your role evolves into, isn't it? You're setting a direction for now quite a lot of people that you employ, and get a bit scared about that. But if you're not there showing them where they're going and everyone's clear, this is the path, they can't do their bit because they're all looking going, should we? What? Why? And if you give them that back to your why, that's fascinating, because it gives them a purpose themselves.
You have to have that. And I've learned that. And I've learned when Mark and I have maybe stepped out a little bit of the day-to-day, people lost the why and they lost the purpose.
Yeah.
And I think a founder-driven brand is actually really powerful, because you're buying into someone.
Yeah.
Whereas, when you work for a company without a face, it's quite hard to feel something. And I think as founders, you have to lean in really hard to that and make each of your team, I'm not speaking to everyone every day. There's over 120 people in my company, which makes me want to vomit. But
just say it quickly, it'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be all right.
But any time I have an interaction with anyone, I want them to be inspired and feel excited.
That's another superpower. So obviously, Mark and you have gone from business partners to lie. You're married now, last year. Congratulations.
Thank you. Wow, that was a turn of events, wasn't it? Yes, definitely wasn't. None of this was planned. I was just living in my merry little life. And then, yeah, I think, like I said, I didn't realise it at the time, but I fell in love with him the moment I met him for breakfast that day. The guy's just absolutely phenomenal, but he's an absolute nightmare. He is this crazy scientist, this crazy entrepreneur that I spoke about. That's who I have to live with every day. But you know, having had a business and a brand and go through near bankruptcy and you create a bond with somebody that it's another world. It's another world of trust. And yeah, I think COVID really cemented it as well. You know,
we learned a lot about lots of relationships, didn't we, in COVID?
I threw my laptop at him twice.
Yeah. In the first week?
It was probably the first month, but that was me trying to harm him. That was real.
There was intention there.
There was a real intention, but I think once you go through, you know, such an incredible journey with someone, you know, I know that he's my person. And then we didn't really have time to do anything about it, and then went, right, it's been 6 years now, let's get married.
Why not?
So yeah, we got married last year.
Brilliant.
Wild.
Oh, love it. Because I was telling you, I adore my wife, but the fact of working with her, that would never happen. So they're very good.
It's quite an odd thing. People always say, like, how do you work together? I don't even know how. We travel the world together. We work 24/7. I just have one boundary. And he actually tried to cross it the other day.
Brave man.
Do not talk to me in the shower.
That's your safe space.
Even in the bed. Like, sometimes I'll be in bed and he is a way earlier riser than me. So sometimes I'll be like in bed and he'll come in and ask me a question. I was in the shower the other day and he literally popped his head in and went, quick question on this product. And I was like,
get out.
That is literally, that's why I probably have such long showers. It's my literal safe space.
It's cold as a shower by the time you finish. But,
exactly.
Oh, I love it. Well, that's good. That's how it works. And so obviously you started off with sort of natural roles because of his science background and your marketing and that consumer insight.
Yeah.
How have your roles evolved over the 8 years, that journey? Have you fallen into something that you've both got your superpowers in, if that makes sense, and then hired around you?
Yeah, I don't actually think it's changed fundamentally. You know, we're always filling gaps. So, you know, when you run a team, there's always, you always think, right, we're there with the team, and then someone else leaves, or someone gets pregnant, and like there's always moves. So we tend to just plug any gap that we need to. But I do think fundamentally it works because our skill sets are so different that you've
got your own turf. Really.
Actually, and you can really trust that other person.
Yeah.
So, like, you do your shit, I'll do mine, and then, you know, we'll come together and make sure that it all aligns. But I don't think there's anything fundamentally that's changed. Look, Mark, his brain in terms of delivering incredible products at an incredible price, by the way, which is just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You know, some of his formulas that we're getting to the market at under £20 is just absolutely phenomenal.
And there is equivalence in the market, but what would it be, 3-4 times the cost?
Oh yeah, £60 to £80, definitely. I will very confidently say that in terms of quality of product.
And we'll go on a quick. How do you convince the market then that is the same product that? I won't embarrass myself by saying a brand that's not really the same, but you know that because that's what people do, and if it's too good to be true, unfortunately, people are quite sceptical. They go, "It's too good to be true."
Of course, and. Do you know what? One of the reasons why I was passionate about becoming a B Corp was to show that there was no compromise.
Got you.
Because, you know, sort of fast fashion and, you know, if I'm getting that for a tenner, someone down the road is paying for that. You know, are they mistreating their workers? Is the quality not good? So that was a bit of a factor for me.
Yeah, part of that story that you built back into it. Yeah,
but I think in terms of quality for price, I don't think as a brand you can ever really truly tell that story. I think you have to use others. So I think that's where the, you know, key opinion leaders come in, the derms, you know, the key influencers, the editors. They're the ones telling that story for you, saying, oh my, in fact, this weekend, India Knight, who is like the godmother of beauty, when she says something's great, everyone listens. And she did an article in the Sunday Times Style that was said, this £11 moisturizer is your winter savior. That her saying that is way more powerful than anything I will do. So what I need to do is get it into the hands of the right people, let them make their opinion, and then shout it to the world.
Brilliant. That's a nice segue, because you've always been pretty much, as a brand, at the forefront of social, haven't you? In terms of use of social.
Yes.
Sometimes forced, because there's nothing else you could do in COVID and things like that. Yeah. But you've been pretty much an early adopter, both in Instagram at first, then moved into TikTok very early, didn't you? There's a great story about, you got some help, didn't you, about a guy who said, I think you can work on TikTok. And you're like, TikTok? What on earth TikTok? Yeah. What's that going to be?
Well, it was funny because we were an Instagram first brand, and it worked very well for us because long form content on Instagram really helped our sort of education. So, this is this ingredient, this is what it does. And you could tell that really long story and really help people to understand. And then TikTok came and just, it was,
go quicker, faster.
3 seconds. And we're like, right, how do we even play in this world? And I remember going to a Sephora conference, and they do like every year, like a strategy session with all of their founders. It's quite a funny, Mark's actually there today. Fun story.
Go on.
It's today, and I am here instead of there.
So we're more important than Sephora. Thank you.
Don't tell us about that. So Mark's gone to this conference where they basically say, this is what we're doing as a company. These are the things we think you should be thinking about. And it was a conference, and it was February 2020.
What happened around there?
And they said, get on TikTok. If you could do one thing as a brand, get on TikTok. I don't know if that's going to be right for our brand. Like, how do we even do it? And then there was this guy that I'd spoken to that had just started a company in the media space. And he said, look, I haven't done TikTok. I think I can smash TikTok. Do you want to give it a go with us? And I really respected this guy. And I said, yeah. And then we were one of the first 4 brands to hit 1 billion views on TikTok.
Wow.
It was like bonkers.
So that was a Wild West in those days, wasn't it? On that as a platform.
Wild West. But again, back to relationships. I had a good feeling about this guy. I trusted that he had the right intent. And we were like, let's do it together.
Yeah.
And we became his case study. And then he kind of went on and flew and did loads of amazing stuff.
So the entrance back to our lessons that we're deciding to give out today.
Yes.
That, again, is another personal relationship that you backed him. He didn't have any evidence. He didn't have the case studies coming out of his suitcase to go, this is a briefcase to go, this is where we've done it before. You just believed in him that.
Yeah. And I think sometimes when you've got the case studies, you're going to pay for them, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'd have paid 4 times the amount for a trusted agency that knew what they were doing. Whereas I had a guy that totally got it innately, and he was going to do something good.
So you're confident you knew the brand, that he'd work the rest out, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But we did it together, and I was very clear on what I wanted and didn't want. Get the brief right and work together to win. And we did.
And so you've used a lot, haven't you, in terms of influencers, micro content creators and all of that side. And is that still growth area for you?
It's,
I assume you have a few to manage.
Well, do you know what? It's funny because, we started out, and, I'll be forever grateful for Caroline Hirons, who is this absolutely incredible woman in the beauty industry that everybody respects. And she did a piece on our brand, and we paid, she liked the brand, so we paid her to do a YouTube video, 2018. And everyone's like, oh, Karen Hirons says the INKEY List's good. Everyone went and bought it. That world does not exist now.
No.
Those macro moments where you just pay the big boys.
Just one person.
One thing, tick, there's your sales for a few weeks. It is the most complex world now. And I was sat down with our head of advocacy the other day, because you've got from your DTC customers to your community, to your social, to micro creators, to MIDI creators, to affiliates that are coming through on TikTok Shop, which are normal people getting commission. The world of influencer and creators now, I don't think even brands understand what they're doing in the minute. It is the wild.
It's taken over, hasn't it? It's just got a life of its own.
It has, and nobody knows the right approach. So we're all sort of testing and trying every single day. It's wild. And try doing it in America.
Yeah.
It's even harder.
It's interesting. It's come back to nearly the Reddit days where there's people giving advice about skincare.
I mean, you laugh, but Reddit is one of the...
It's huge, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. And as a brand, we're going, we should probably be doing ads on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, full circle moment.
Isn't it interesting? Yeah, oh my word. I love that though. But it's interesting that you realise that you've got that direct connection with your customer still, haven't you, through there? And you get that instant
I was DMing on the way here on the feed. Literally, DMing customers. They are
part of that, right? Being old, right? It upsets me now because I always think, oh, if I'm on the tube, I've got half an hour of freedom. But now it's got Wi-Fi and everything.
Yeah, I love the plane. And I often don't go on the Wi-Fi in the plane. One, because it's so bad that you spend your whole time
You'll do one thing in an hour and a half. Yeah.
But then two, that's my only safe space from Wi-Fi.
That and the shower. Maybe have a shower on the plane, then no one can get you, can they?
But no, I love speaking to customers, and a lot of influencers say they're shocked because I go to 99% of events.
Yeah.
And I will sit and have dinner with influencers and chat about my brand. And they're like, you're a founder. Why are you here? You know, normally we get invited by the PR and we come and have a drink and get some products and leave. I'm like, what? For me, this is the perfect time for me to build connections with influencers and our community. We've done parties in our office with customers.
But it's back to what you said, isn't it? About A, understanding, but B, that influencer, that creator, is going to work harder for you than someone they've never met. I know you're not doing it for a totally cynical reason, but it's just common sense, isn't it?
It really is.
People do business with people, even online.
Exactly. I think I need to get an avatar version, though.
Yeah, maybe. Can you ape yourself 100 times? You probably can.
You probably can.
Yeah, let's not go there from this point of view. That would start to depress us somewhat.
True.
So do you ever get time to take a breath and kind of reflect on how you have evolved as both a person and a leader in these last 8 years?
I'm gonna ask you to answer that. What do you think?
No.
It's a big
Sorry.
fan. A big fat no. No, I daren't reflect. Actually, we're not done.
Okay. So, would you believe if you're sitting there on your lovely sort of deck chair on a desert island that you're thinking, right, well, INKEY List for me is gone, so that's our reflection, or is it?
Yeah, I'm not done with it yet. I'm not satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's so much more to do with INKEY.
Yeah.
I do think I've changed a lot as a human, and I think I'm much more confident in my decision making. And I've noticed that even with senior people in our business, I'm like, what are you fucking around at?
Yeah.
Like, all you need is a bit of gut, insight to back up the gut, and go. And I don't think a lot of people think like that. I
have a theory about this, and I think it does come from experience and a little bit of, time served, let's call it. Yeah. That you talk about your gut, and I think what your gut is a collection of your experience. Yes. And it's where you've manifested it for some reason, we all do. But it's only because you've had to make that decision 100 times before and got it wrong 50 that hopefully you've learned from it. But because I think it's dismissive to say guts, like yes. It's nearly, it's people like to say it. Yeah. I think it's actually based on more than anything you've ever come across. Because I've spoken to a lot of people and they talk about this, and it's like, but no, it's a collection of all of your history and past and decision making.
And how many businesses have you had?
A couple.
That's a lot of gut then.
Yeah. What are you saying? I thought I'd been well. I've lost a bit of weight. No, but you're right. But also, I think you before we started recording, you talked about something that it's not that you don't care, but you're less sensitive to what other people think. And I think once you get that starts to free you to make proper decisions. But you can't do that day one unless you're some sort of terrifying.
And I think what I'm also just learning at the minute, and I'm 8 years in, we're 100 million, which is and I say that because it's a real, it's a weird time, I think, because you're not a fun young startup, you're not a long-standing corporate. You're like a weird, awkward teenager.
You're a teenager, right? Okay,
It's a funny old stage, right? And what we struggle to get right is like the dictatorship versus the democracy. Like everybody making decisions is getting us nowhere.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm trying to respect that not everything should come from me at this point. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just...
Yeah, it's easier, but I suppose it goes back to that point you were saying earlier, wasn't it? If you can create that North Star that people are following, it's a bit like you hear a lot of people talk about Branson.
Yes.
I'm going to liken you to Branson.
Wow.
And what a lot of people in the senior roles in that organisation do is what would Richard do?
Yes.
And I think that's your role a lot now, is that North Star, this is what we do. So they know that, no, we shouldn't manufacture there because of X and Y, or we shouldn't include that product because of this.
It's the right guardrails and that vision that you're following.
It's tricky though, isn't it?
Really tricky. I mean, this sounds great in theory.
Because 150 people, although it's a lot of people, it's not massive for a business turning over that. So you can still know most of the people that work for you, isn't it? It's not that you've got this amorphous thing all over the globe and you don't ever see these people. I've never met these people. And I think that's probably why you're struggling with it, because you're still quite connected.
Yes, very much so. And it's that sort of trying to disconnect for the good of the business, but then I am the business.
Yeah, because you don't want to become a blocker, do you? Because that's the other fear.
So yeah, it's a funny old time, I'd say, this sort of teenagey phase.
Do you think it's weird 8 years later sitting here going, oh, 100 million? It's like...
Oh, it's stupid. When I say 90 million products, and I say it as words, and then always the reaction from people is like...
I was doing the maths of how many is that a year?
It's bonkers. But actually, again, I said you have to be a psycho.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, well, why have we not sold more? And why aren't we doing more? And how can I get to more? And why is my market share so low? And why you don't stop?
Is that driven by one of your driving reasons for doing this is to help people, is to educate that democratisation?
I'm frustrated
that
so many people still
haven't got it.
The question I had this morning on Instagram from somebody, I'm like, how do you not know where to put a serum in your routine? I've told you this for 8 years. So it's like I'm still not doing enough.
Yeah. But that's kind of exciting, though. That means there's lots of people still to discover you.
Very true. But I'm not, I think it drives me, that frustration. I always say, like, our brand wasn't driven by inspiration. It was driven by frustration in the industry. And now I'm frustrated at myself because I'm not doing a good enough job at simplifying skincare.
I think 90 million products is quite a good job, but obviously you've got a slightly higher bar maybe than some of us.
It's not even the product sold for me. Like, it's the knowledge, like the fact that people still don't get it. I'm like, how can I get them to get it? What's the 50 other different ways of communicating it that will get them to get it?
Agree, but is that not a result of the weird world we're in now, where there's just so much noise everywhere?
Yep. It's getting harder, that's for sure.
And some people will have a bigger budget than you or anybody to potentially...
I'm pretty sure they do have a bigger budget than me, because my profit margins don't allow for big marketing.
Well, that's good though, isn't it? But yeah, I get your frustration, but I think, you're not saying you should go off to your desert island and relax, but I think reflection is really important as you move forward again. Yeah. Because I think it allows you to make sure you realign and go, right, okay, what should Mark and I now take to make sure we can go into your... Look forward to your 21st birthday party.
I think I need a beer with you.
There you go.
You can tell.
How did you know that would be where it would end up?
I mean, just a gut feeling.
Well, now you said that about gut, we'll have a glass of wine instead, okay? Tick. So, go on, let's look future for a bit, because I'm sure we've run out of time, but we'll keep going for a bit longer. Okay. So in terms of the future... I heard a really interesting interview of yours where you were talking about how you could take the concept of INKEY, the concept of an approach within the sector, and potentially move it into other, nothing to do with beauty. You talked about that idea of being that open transparency about what a product should be and what it should include, whether it's food, whether it's supplements. Yeah. Is that still buzzing around in...
100%. I think we are trying to make a category simple to understand and easy to use. So sticking in beauty, we've done it in skincare. When you look at hair care, when you go into a retailer, when you go in next, have a look at the way that they categorize hair care. They categorize it as normal hair. And then there's like a small section for like coily hair, curly hair. And I'm like, how in 2026 are we still talking about hair as normal? Everyone has a different hair type. So when I look at skincare and how that's really evolved, even in beauty, if I look at hair care, it's nowhere near evolved. Mm-hmm. So I find there's loads of opportunities even within beauty, but taking a space, democratizing it with knowledge and helping people to make it simple to understand and easy to use doesn't need to be skincare. Yeah. That's a role for a brand to do in any space. So that definitely excites me. But then the sensible part of me says, but I've not even nailed skincare yet.
Yeah, we'll refer you back to 10 minutes ago when you were angry that you more people were.
Exactly. But again, back to that why, like, you know, big thing, if you're listening to this, I would want you to take out of it is just be so clear on your why.
Yeah.
Because your why transcends. Like, I've got a free skincare support service that came from my why.
Is that the Ask INKEY? Yeah, which was pretty early on. You launched that, wasn't it?
Really early, just before COVID. A lot happened in early 2020. And that was me saying, right, I'm doing a really good job of giving products and the packaging makes it simple, but people were still confused. So how can I offer humans to help that? So I think if you get your why so clear that whatever category, product, service, anything that you offer to the consumer is grounded in something really real and long-standing. You know, my why 8 years ago is exactly the same as my why now, and it will not change in the next 10 years.
It can't do, can it? From everything we've spoken about.
No.
It'll evolve and it'll tweak and it'll widen. But
knowledge, it really truly is power. And how do I continue to give people that knowledge that can help them empower themselves for their skin, for their life and beyond?
A lot to go at.
It is, isn't it?
Good though.
I hope so.
Well, you just sort of think, you know, it's nice to think whatever you're doing, you're trying to improve people's lives, which not in a benevolent way, in like education's good, isn't it? And
it feels good, and when you are working like a dog, those are the moments. Someone DM'd me on TikTok. Oh, me on TikTok. Next. Someone DM'd me on TikTok today saying, I just want to tell you, I didn't even know about your brand until I came across your personal page. And want you to know that you're doing such a great job, and I'm really loving seeing your content, and it's helping me with my skin. And she had no intent on that other than just to send me a nice message.
Yeah.
I was like, because I needed that.
That keeps you going, doesn't it?
I needed that when I left the house at 6 a.m. on a Monday morning after working all weekend. Yeah. And I'm like, that's why I'm doing it. And then that little zap takes you on.
Drives you on to the next one.
Yeah.
It's good though, isn't it? I like that a lot. We've run out of time, which is really disappointing.
Sorry, I'm such a chat.
No, I know, but it's great though. It's fascinating, isn't it? And I think I've covered about half of the questions I was going to do, but in a good way. We've come up with ones that we never do. So there's always a question we like to finish on, which is around if you were to reflect back that huge, nearly a decade ago, or 8 years ago, or no, I suppose when you left Boots even.
Yeah.
With a little bit of hindsight, we're all geniuses. Is there a piece of advice you'd give to you and Mark when you were starting that journey that you wish you'd maybe picked up a bit earlier to save a bit of stress on the way through?
No.
Go on, tell me why. I knew.
You thought I would.
I didn't think, because I think because you seem content sometimes being an expert in some things and not knowing other things. So that's a really lovely place to be.
Everything I have done, every mistake we've made has got me to where I am. So if I'd have shortcutted it, I probably would have made different mistakes.
Yeah.
I think just be really open. Be open to ideas, be open to possibilities, be open to anything you might do. And the people I've met today, super interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea coming into this what today would be, but I've come into it open and excited to be here. So I just think if you just stay open, and I think we were open. I honestly don't think I would change anything. I am absolutely exhausted, like beyond it. I don't even know what the word beyond exhausted is. Like I'm tired in my bones.
Yeah.
But at the same time, God, I don't think I'd change a thing. I don't think I'd change a thing of what I've done, other than I broke down a couple of times. Just a small thing.
Yeah.
Couple of breakdowns. So maybe alerting yourself to your health when it gets
just
too
that
much.
Being slightly aware when the body's giving you those warnings.
Literally giving up. But what I will say is that the biggest piece of advice I got was stay in the game.
Yeah.
It's been now, because we're co-founders, that's actually easier, because there has been times where I have literally wanted to give up and say I'm done. And there's times where I can see Mark getting there and we pulled each other out.
You both, yeah.
But yeah, a mentor of ours once said, no matter where you are, what's happening, we were days from bankruptcy, just stay in the game.
Yeah.
That's like always stuck with me.
There's no shortcuts, are there? That, like you say, keep grafting, keep going, keep believing, I suppose, as well, isn't it? A lot of it.
Yeah, that back to that psychotic. You have to. When everyone's telling you this is a bad idea, when everyone's telling you you've got no money left, when everyone's telling you whatever you're doing isn't going to work, if you truly believe in it, psychotically, it'll happen.
So having that constant, as I call it, North Star is good though, isn't it? Because it allows you to know I am doing right. And like you say, you get that DM message on your LinkedIn or your TikTok or your Instagram that you just go, yeah, come on, that's why I'm in this.
Yeah.
Convince yourself.
Yeah, it's wild though. This journey is, got no idea what you're doing day to day, week to week, year to year. I've got no idea if I'm going to be in.
I did have one question. What's filling your headspace at the moment? But I think that's a whole podcast in itself, isn't it? A whole episode in itself was what's going on there at the moment. Supplements, distance.
Yeah. World domination.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll start in Fulham and we'll go from there.
I love it.
Oh, Colette, I've loved that. Thank you so much for being so open and candid. It's just been absolutely brilliant.
I've loved it. It's been a great chat, cathartic, and you've given me food for thought. I'm reflecting.
I've done my bit. You do your bit. Thank you so much.
Thank you.